3 weeks from Election Day, and New Yorkers are running out of time to stop a socialist takeover of the Big Apple. Zohran Mamdani, Curtis Sliwa, and Andy Cuomo facing off for the first time in a debate Thursday. And we're not sure who won, but we know who the losers are. New Yorkers, one and all. Welcome to the Big Money Show. I'm Dagan McDowell, along with my co-hosts, Garrett Kaltbaum, Brian Brimberg, Jackie DeAngelis, and with us for this entire hour, Steamboat Institute fellow, Karine Hajar. Great to see you all. Democrat Socialist Zohran Mamdani, the commie, running away with the race for New York City's mayor. And we can look at this brand spanking new Fox News poll came out yesterday evening. You add up Cuomo's support and Sliwa's support, they still don't even come close to topping Mamdani. But last night's New York City mayoral debate turned into a reality check. Mamdani could not say how he'd pay for $10 billion in free programs, from free childcare to free fast buses, he says, except by raising taxes and hoping the math magics itself. Never mind that the top 1%, the top 2% really already pay nearly half of all city income taxes, or that his plan to hike corporate rates would send the businesses still left in Manhattan running across the Hudson River for parts west and south of here. Because, bottom line, you can't tax your way to prosperity. You can tax your way to communism, I suppose. Jackie, what did you make of last night and where we go from here?
Well, first, I want to give you a scene setter. I went home, I put my sweats on, I ordered Chinese, big bun on top of my head, had it on 10 minutes before, watching the local news leading into the debate, and didn't know exactly what to expect, because I thought Mamdani's one-on-one interview with Martha was a good interview for him. He somehow has a way of skirting the issues and charming, oddly, at the same time, that little crest sparkle coming from his teeth. Last night, however, I don't think that he did that well. It was really apparent that his only mechanism for funding his agenda is to tax people, which is not going to fly, as you just said. People will leave. They will go to greener pastures, and we all know that. And I thought about the demographics a little, despite the poll that we just showed, and said to myself, you know, what some are saying about the fact that he won the primary and that was a smaller sample size, and how much ire I hear in New York City about him from regular people, normal people, not that small sample size of 20-something sort of wealthy folks who are feeling guilty about maybe some of the wealth that they have, and they feel righteous and want to give it away. I think we're going to see a turnout surprise in this election. The problem is the split between Sliwa and Cuomo, who I think both did pretty good last night, and together as a tag team against him with the zingers and some of the under-the-breath comments when Cuomo said the only job you had on your resume was working for your mother. You know, a lot of these things that they brought up really sort of showed that he's just got nothing. And he was nervous. He couldn't really zing back at them either. So if you were watching the debate, and I don't know how many people did, I think that you would see either of the two other candidates are better candidates, but we'll see.
He seemed very small last night. Physically, but also he was shrinking a little bit. But I was watching it as well, and I thought, this is it?
Yeah.
This is all we got?
Yeah.
This seems like these three people don't seem, with respect, don't seem capable to be the mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I love Tulsa. And the moderators were ghastly. I digress, because they kept, you couldn't get like a conversation or a real debate going.
They were ugh. The moderators. I could not believe they would not let them say a second sentence, no follow-ups on very important information for one of the most important cities in this world. It was amazing to watch them just keep interrupting them.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, and I actually think Mamdani still brought a lot of energy and was the shiny, enthusiastic character that I mean, this is the persona that's fueling his campaign and why people like him. And it goes to show, as terrible as his policies are, the energy that he brings goes a long way with voters. I've talked to young people in East Village. I went outside a grocery store to ask them about the grocery store policy, this fantastical communist policy he wants to pass. And a lot of people said, yeah, that's not going to work. But he's been out there. He's been energetic. And I thought in the debate, I mean, it wasn't outstanding or anything, but he did a pretty good job. We're used to seeing him in these very colorful, well-produced clips and having it all together over 2 hours. You started to see the cracks in his plan, though they've been obvious enough.
Exactly.
But again, the two others sort of were underwhelming as well,
The problem is he's going to win. And I want to address him into the camera because maybe I have a better idea.
This is a Mamdani kind of
yes,
thing.
I am. Why don't you lower taxes 2%? Why don't you lower taxes for corporations? Why don't you tell the corporations of New Jersey and Pennsylvania and all the corporations that left from my city, Florida, that you actually like them and actually care about them? Why don't you look at every time anybody who's ever lowered taxes, revenues went up and not down? Why don't you look at California that keeps taxing them to death, that's running a huge deficit while I'm in Florida and running a surplus? You are the opposite of everything that needs to get done going forward. You have got to stop disrespecting the taxpayer. You got to stop disrespecting the wealth, the producers, the job creators, or else you're going to see a lot more fleeing. If you go look at a tweet by our good friend David Asman this morning from Steve Moore's place, $500 billion has flown away from this great state, and a ton of that from this great city. And nobody wants to leave New York City. It's the financial capital of the world. And what are you going to do? You are going to hamstring the living heck out of it if you follow the lead that you are calling for.
Gary, you should have been on the debate stage last night.
I wish I was.
I wish I was.
I would have eaten him alive.
You know what? I like the point you made about he was starting to fray at the edges a little bit.
Yeah.
And that doesn't tell me he's going to lose this race. I still think he's going to win this race, Mamdani. But it tells me when he gets into office and he has to start doing this thing, not only is his policies going to fail, he's going to look miserable when they fail. And he's going to come unglued a little bit. And to me, that gives me hope because not only are we going to see that the policies don't work, but we're going to see that the democratic, socialist, communist, I'm a nice guy, I'm warm and fuzzy, I light up the room, that's going to fall apart as well. And that's the thing that movement trades on more than anything else is the charisma. And you could just see it with him last night a little bit, the fraying, the cracks. He couldn't sustain that weird smile the whole time. That, I think, is good news for people who don't want to see America go communist.
Can I add one thing to that? He was asked about, I think Cuomo brought it up, what would happen, well, he wasn't asked about it, but he brought it up as an issue, which is what would happen if we had an emergency in New York City? What if, God forbid, we had another 9/11? What if we had another COVID crisis? Now, I'm not saying Cuomo was so great in emergencies, COVID particularly, but having said that, I look at somebody like Mamdani and say, not only can he not execute what he's promising you that he could do, but I would be scared to have somebody like him handling an emergency.
Control freak policies have nothing to do with the people. It has everything to do with the power, centralized power of the few. This is all it's about. And when he said, I could not even believe he said it, that he wants to control the means of production, that is right out of the Marxist manifesto. Not even hiding it. And when I'm sitting there, and here's the other part of the equation. The number one job is to protect the citizens. Number two job is to protect the citizens. And number three, he said, no, I'm not into defunding the police. Yet, dozens of times throughout the years, he specifically said he wanted to defund the police. And all of a sudden, as he gets towards the election, oh, I changed my mind. We know exactly what he's going to try and do. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. We have a great police commissioner. But coddling criminals and telling the citizens, hey, sorry, not the way to go.
Cuomo called him out on those tweets from, I believe it was 2021, and he had to address it, and I don't think he did a good job of it.
He did not.
We actually have a piece of sound on crime. Listen to this.
We have the architect and we have the apprentice of no cash bail, which has been a disaster. Thank God I'm not a professional politician, because they have helped create this crime crisis in the city that we face.
I would add 5,000 police, put 1,500 in the subways, raise the starting salary because you can't hire them.
If you want an actual approach to lower crime, look at our Department of Community Safety. We will ensure that no longer are police officers asked to do the job of both policing and responding to the mental health crisis.
If you have a severely mentally ill person who is violent, who are you going to call to deal with that violent, severely mentally ill person? And by the way, I'm not going to digress. Mayor Eric Adams has put into place a law, it was codified by the state, where the police and the mental health representatives can remove and involuntarily commit people who are not just a risk to others, but are deemed a risk to themselves because they are not self-caring individuals. And he has said, well, he's waffled on enforcing that. So Mamdani, we know where he stands. They're not going to remove homeless, mentally ill homeless people off the street. He has essentially said that. Mamdani adheres to the Democrat Socialists of America platform, and that is no police and no prisons. The first thing that's going to happen in New York City is rampant crime. And maybe the rest of this fine nation needs to see what happens when you elect a likable liar who is a communist in sheep's clothing.
He's not likable.
Social workers.
He's likable enough to get elected of New York's mayor, Gary.
I know.
Like, to deny his popularity is dangerous.
No, and Democrats should be able to. I mean, why are these the two options? Likable and polished crazies,
right?
And frankly, like a lot of washed up people with bad policy. There needs, the fact that Democrats can't find somebody in the middle is mind-boggling and says a lot about the failure of the leadership of the party. But to the point on social workers, to brand it as progressive to leave mentally ill and homeless people on the streets, and this is how to empower them, and this is how to treat them, is inhumane. They've done a great job with words like harm reduction and all of these social justice terms that make it seem like the humane thing to do. But it doesn't just endanger these folks that need help and need our compassion, it endangers us too. I mean, like, I shouldn't be able to go to parties and swap stories with friends with whoever threatened me on the subway this week.
And do you know where they're going to be heading to in the winter? The free buses.
Right.
Wait till you see what happens with that. Look, he's economically illiterate. I don't think he's even worked through any of his policies on the free, just start with the free buses, just the logic of what's going to happen with that. And then all of a sudden you're going to control prices on housing. You tell that to the landlords, and you're going to have all these price controls in supermarkets. You tell that to the private companies that run supermarkets in the city. Tell that to Whole Foods markets and see what happens there when they shut down because you can't compete with price fixing. It just does not work. And the heartbreak is the voters. I hate putting down voters, but what are they thinking, and how are they not thinking this through? This is such an important city to the state, to the country, to the world.
He has to know that these policies don't work. There's example after example
Everywhere.
about how free buses don't work. Government subsidized grocery stores are closing. What's the point here?
Final word to you, Brian. But that's the arrogance of a politician, of somebody who is, 34 years old. He thinks he can make work what Fidel Castro couldn't.
No, you can think you can fly, but you only get to jump off the roof once. And he's going to jump off the roof in NYC, and we're all going to see what it turns out like.
The problem is he's going to create a bad boondoggle that we're going to have to try to work our way out if possible at all. But anyway.
We're going to have to depend on Hochul to stop him. That's the other part.
Right.
Not going to happen.